So about me, I'm from India, although I feel that I'm a son of God. So of course the world is my home, and I feel that I'm a global person. Traveled approx 34 countries till date. Oh no, it's like 36 countries till date. I keep forgetting the rest of the two countries. About my background, so I started back in 1998 when I was 17. I was a college first year student, just finished my 12th exam in India, and thought to disrupt the market, thought to give something back, some value to the local Indian ecosystem. Please remember, I'm talking about a year which is like 22 years back. I was 17 then, pretty young, had a lot of hair in my head, and of course looks like a slim guy with a lot of dream in his eyes. And I thought, if I start a venture which is basically going to make money for all the other ecosystem, was pretty difficult. So it was not a very smooth journey for me. I started as a game development company, which is now India's one of the oldest game development studio, back in 98, which I dreamt of and started off. On that time, there was no proper internet connection in country. There was no Google, by the by. I mean, Google didn't exist that time. It was all Yahoo and all Alta Vista days with Windows 98 as an operating system. So anyway, you used to start the computer. It was like, welcome to the operating system. That was the message. And then the computer starts. So that was the era. And on that time, I used to do a lot of comics. I used to write a lot of comics. Used to draw comical characters, and I was actually moving from one location to another location and trying to understand what is going on in the creative field. And because of my background, I'm a science background person. I actually left engineering so that I can join economics, statistics, and mathematics as a combination. The only reason was I wanted to understand the business part of it, and it was a strategic decision. It was very hard decision for me. I'm not from any kind of business background. My parents, they are mainly from legal background. My mom, she's a public prosecutor. Father, he's a CS, which is called company secretary. Of course, corporate and lawyer, both of them wanted me to become a lawyer or a doctor. Then I that I'll be starting my own company. Somehow my first pitch was with my father, which took around from 8:30 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and I convinced him that I'll be actually doing something good for the community rather than making money only for me. So he said, "Okay, fine, you can start your venture, but whatever degree I want for you, you have to pursue all these things." So it was a roller coaster ride, Celestine. Like, I used to carry machines in my back, used to walk a couple of miles to deliver the machines, used to change my dress in nearby park, in nearby hotels, so that, to be very honest, so that I can deliver them in a sophisticated way. India is not a European country, nor it is a very cold country. So we have a sweating problem. So when you sweat, your dresses become very nasty. So I used to carry an extra shirt in my backpack and a extra shoe so that I look very professional and glossy and glorious. So that's how I started making initial orders by selling computers, and that was my seed capital. So I'll give you a very honest story of my own life, so that people can most probably relate to it. So when I made a little bit of small money, I segregated that part into two different portions, and that's how I started a training school and a production house, and slowly grew. And today we have got more than 327 people on board who are working with us, with different countries, different colors, different caste, different flavors. And I love those flavors in the organization. The only reason I wanted to love all the people from the world to come forward and work with us. So I run approx 17 different organization at the moment. Board member of approximately 21 different companies worldwide, mainly into Australia, Europe, um, Taiwan, China, India, and nearby country called Bangladesh. So I try to share my small experience, whatever I have gathered so far. And here I am with my beautiful friend Celestine to share things with her.
Okay, thank you very much, Arijit. I was supposed to have started with introducing what about Startup Grind. I'm sure you've done a bit of research about what Startup Grind is about. I am the director of Startup Grind Kajiado, which is just a town that is just adjacent to Nairobi. Why Kajiado? That is an area that's very neglected, and it's borders with the national park. So there's a lot of hospitality, digital farmers, as I may call them, the farmers who practice farming with technology and supply most of their products into the city. And then the third ecosystem of entrepreneurs that's available in Kajiado is the creatives, because it's a very natural space with a lot of wild animals and a lot of hospitality. There's a lot of creatives who prefer to be there to create their own things. So I decided to focus on them because all the startups were being taken care of by Startup Grind Nairobi, which was taking care of a very vast ecosystem. But the agri-techpreneurs who are just adjacent to the city, the people in the hospitality, the Airbnbs, the lodges, the people who work within the national park, Nairobi National Park, who are being neglected, and the creatives. So that's a little short story of Startup Grind Kajiado. And with Startup Grind, the ecosystem, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to at least let my community learn about VC and about the importance, number one, of technology going forward, knowing that COVID has really made us start thinking differently in how we run our businesses. Now more than ever, we have come to realize the importance of having a database and keeping your database on more platforms other than your phone or other than on word of mouth, where you can meet them or where people know somebody's physical presence is located here. There has never been a more time where technology has to be embraced by entrepreneurs, number one, to survive, and number two, to be able to grow and scale. So I'd like to know something about your favorite moment of being an entrepreneur. I would have asked you who you are and what you do, and I think you gave us a very short synopsis, very detailed, when you're introducing yourself about who you are and what you're about. So I'd like to know, what is your favorite moment about mentoring startups and just being in a startup scenario where you introduce technology to the entrepreneurs?
Super question. Celestine, I always feel that technology is always an enabler. I mean, technology cannot run solo until unless you have a proper business in the background. So when I mentor, when I usually handshake with any startup in the ecosystem, it's about a both way communication. It's about whether I'm learning from him and he's learning from me, and whether I can actually help them or I'm just giving them some kind of lecture. So I usually hate when I just talk. Rather, I'm a execution kind of person. So whenever I handshake with any mentee of mine, initially I take a lot of time before I say yes. Usually the time frame, if I may define it, the time frame may be 1 month to 2 months before I say yes to the mentee, that okay, fine, I'll be handshaking with you, I'll be mentoring you. The only reason is when I say yes, I actually handhold them. For an example, I would love to give you a live example. One of the startup from Iceland, they wanted to grow their business into from Iceland to some other country. So we had an initial chat. We wanted to understand each other. He's from a different culture. He wanted my mentorship, few of the investment help if I can do. It took me approximate 2 months to say, yes, I'll be mentoring you. The initial process started like this. Initially, we understand each other and then understand each other's venture, why I'm needed in his business, why and how he can utilize my network and connections. When everything settled down, the first process was bringing that company from their country to a complete different continent, which they never thought they'll be exploring. So in that process, it's called a scale up process. It's a very pretty basic scale up process. When I introduce their technology, their solution to a complete new country, new people, when there is a need. Okay. So I usually do the market study before I take that company from one part of the world to another part of the world. So that organization from Iceland, they actually touch base Australian market in a very strategic approach with a local partner support. Once I did that local partnership, then I went for the fundraising process. Usually people feel that they will raise fund and then they will most probably explore some new market that will be there in their business plan. I think it in a different way, more practical way. First, first you explore the market. First, you understand that market. First, you understand the customer that you're going to serve. Understand whether you can serve or not. And if you can serve, what is the fund need of yours? Do you really need fund externally? Or the fund is already there in the business, you are not just getting it. So it happened that they had approximately 20% of the fund from the business itself to do the partnership. We did that. And then we went for a strategic angel round, which was round A for their investment. That process happened within 3 months. So the total timeline was approximate 5 months. 2 months is for saying me yes. Next 3 months was find value body who will be investing for that investment, getting partner, doing all the legal process done, and then doing the network and executing the business. They are in good position. They are running it for the last 3 months during this COVID time. They are making money. They started making money. So the process was pretty simple. You actually save time. You save time of both investor as well as the investee, and the local partner. So that's what I feel is a actual mentoring process in my scenario. That's what I love to do. I can go on with the example, but I think I'm good to have another question.
Okay, so I'd like to also know, now that you talked about cross-border investments and also pitching for investment, what are your thoughts regarding cross-border investments in this time of COVID? Because everywhere we are looking, yes, there is business, but everybody is scared or skeptical because of the new system whereby either the logistics is a problem or there is just a value add in terms of even buying things that were affordable earlier on. Most of the importers have people who import goods or services have realized that the cost of getting these goods and services has kind of like doubled or tripled. What would your advice be in terms of cross-border investments? Is it something that startups should really start thinking about? And if they're thinking about that, from what context should they be looking at it from?
Beautiful question. You know what? When we think of investing in some third-party company as an investor, I'm just giving you this answer into three different fold. One, as me as an investor. Second, a VC fund who is thinking investing in a startup. Third, how a startup can strategize themselves so that they can get the investment. So for me, when I go for any kind of cross-border investment, the cross-border investment always happens with a value addition. So if I feel that there is a ROI, see, let me be very honest. When I'm an entrepreneur, I started with a social cause. The cause was to give back to the community. But when I invest my money to get return. I'll tell you the reason. If I don't earn, I cannot give it back to the community. If I'm losing money, I cannot do anything, right? So I have to earn money. So it's my hard earned money. When I'm investing, I need to look at it whether I'm getting value. And fame, that value can be from the money that I'm investing, the return of investment. Whenever I go for any kind of cross-border investment, I always take care of ROI, and B, which is more vital than ROI, how this invested company, this startup, is making a disruption. Am I making any kind of disruption or not? If that's the case, cross-border investment is not a very big deal. There are pockets, there are ways, there are banks, there are foreign banks, there are investment capital bodies which can actually help you to invest and grow. So I'll again take an example of Australia. Um, so what I did, I started an investment banking company in Australia with two different partners, both are Aussies, and through that investment capital, I invested money into the local startup. So it's not that I'm investing it directly from India to, say, for an example, in Kenya. I don't want to do that. That creates a lot of legal issues. Rather, I'll be opening up investment banking company, say just for an example, I'll be opening up most probably an investment banking company into Kenya with local partners, and then process goes very legal, very structured, the process oriented banking system can happen. And when the investment happen, of course you have to get back your return. So that return will happen inside the country, meaning in Kenya itself, so that the country will of course earn money and rotate its ecosystem and economy. And that's how cross-border investment optimized the local ecosystem growth. Now coming to the second part of mine, for a fund. So if I'm representing a VC fund, usually the process is the same. They usually go for a large amount of investment, and of course that process goes through a merchant bank and a legal solicitor. So of course, when a global investment happens, the same way they'll be opening up an office. So for me, I'm a time angel investor. For VC fund, they have a large fund. So of course, they'll open up a proper structured corporate office, local partners, employees, so on and so forth. And then they'll be investing into that particular region. Usually it doesn't happen that some VC fund will invest in particular country and they'll wipe off. Sustain, and they will go with maybe 10 different companies altogether, and that's how the large VC funds works. Now coming to the third part of that answer, as an investee, what should you do? Never ever think of any kind of investment which is only serve local system. Well, to start your venture serving local community, perfect. But when you want to grow your company and you need some angel investment, you need some VC investment, your business proposition, your business structure must be having some amount of global approach. For an example, Kenya is, if you have agricultural growth system which is into organic farming, it can be anything, any kind of organic farming. It can be rice, it can be wheat, it can be potato, it doesn't matter. Okay, so if you're producing it, make it a point that you're producing enough so that you can export it. Please remember, maybe you're thinking, in my country I'm producing wheat, I don't need wheat. But if you look at Russia, or if you look at some other European country, they need those wheats. Okay, they need maybe coffee, they need maybe some fruits, maybe they need some orange. So you produce that in such a way, in an organic way. You don't need a lot of technology for that. It's pretty easy to do that. Okay, When you're producing that organic farming and you feel that you have an import export license and you want to grow, that's your time, that's your sweet point. You should go for a cross border investment asking. Say you want to grow in Russia, I'm just giving you an example. From Russia you want to export, I don't know, maybe example of organic potato. They need a lot of organic potato, they need a lot of rice, they need a lot of, fruits and vegetables. They don't grow it. So Russia doesn't grow a lot of fruits and vegetables on their own because of their climate. But you have a climatic advantage, you can grow it in your country. The only thing that you need a channel, you need a connection point, so that you can cross sell all these kind of aspects. So to be very honest, Celestine, I have that connection, I know the person. So if you wish, maybe after the call I can exchange the number as well as email ID. So you can directly approach these kind of people, grow their company from point A to point B. All they need import export license, their company details, and their past turnover details, a structure, a mechanism, so that they can export it properly. Nevertheless, if everything goes fine, usually export happens. I did that with honey, I did that with rice, we are doing it with wheat, tea, and coffee. That's happening from India to Russia, that's happening from Australia to Russia, that's happening from a few part of Nepal, from few bit of border areas. So it happens, and there are people, there are investors whom we call as debt investor. So investors are those guys who will be giving you money for a certain number of months. It's a high return, high investment percentage that they will be looking for. But if you don't have money, you can just go for that. It's a venture.
Okay, thank you so much for that detailed explanation. I'm sure the participants who are watching, or the entrepreneurs who are watching, especially the ones in agri-tech, are getting excited knowing that at least they can reach out to you after this and start conversations with regards to that. The next question that I'd really like to understand is, normally when people are pitching probably for investment to an angel investor like yourself or a VC, they are told to stick to the business plan. With COVID happening, I'm sure that the tradition, or the traditional or the standard way of pitching through a business plan has kind of like drastically changed. Do you have any thoughts or any tips or any insights that you can give the entrepreneurs who are listening, so that when they know that they are ready to at least put some thoughts in your direction in terms of investing or in terms of looking at what they're doing, what should they be looking at in terms of their business plan? What is relevant post-COVID?
Okay, interesting one. Let me touch base that. Before I touch it, let me reintroduce myself. Apart from being an entrepreneur, I'm a senator for India for WBAF, which is World Business Angels Forum. So I represent approximate 98 different cross-border country angel investment fund, as well as I have got my own fund based out of California, and we started one in Australia, as I was mentioning. And certainly I have got access to a couple of other country funds, which are basically the VC funds. So whenever you make any kind of pitch deck, please remember business plan, pitch deck, and business structure. These are all three different aspects. Okay, when you go for any kind of pitch deck, try to make it very simple with maximum 8 to 10 slides. Your most interesting slide is wherein you're talking about 10% of the market that you're grabbing or you're not grabbing. For an example, if you're showing in a report that the market size is that big and this is the reason you're looking for money, it doesn't make any sense. You have to talk about whether that, what is the percentage of the market that you yourself can tap. Be confident enough. If you can tap only 2% of that large market, it's huge. It's really huge. If you can tap 1%, that is perfectly fine. Be very honest on that. So I'll try to put it this way. Your first slide would be who you are, why you are, and your second slide can be your vision, your mission, your strategy, what you want to do, and what is this company is all about to execute. Your third slide should talk about, do you have a product which is existing, or do you have a prototype? Is it ready to go to the market, or it's still making? So if the answer is second, it's still in the construction, your pitch deck would be different. So let me help you. If it is in an idea stage, it's really difficult to, at this moment at least, it is really difficult to convince someone that you have got an amazing idea which can make a disruption, right? But if your idea, you're sure that your idea will work, my suggestion is put a fourth slide after that idea slide talking about why you can execute it. So in their why, get a great team. This is the key point. When you're talking about making a team, please remember it's not number of employees. It's about your core team member who are not working with you for money, who are with you because of your vision and mission. Usually it's your co-founders or founding members team. It can be a jolly well good combination of 4 or 5 people. It can be 2 people, doesn't matter. Put someone on board who is great in finance, put someone on board who is great in technology, put someone on board who is good in sales and marketing, put someone on board who understand legalities, and maybe the fifth person can be someone who is great in relationship building and PR and communication. If you have these 5 different elements in your team structure, it doesn't matter, it can be 3 people as well. Don't worry, it's not a mandatory fact that you have to have 5 people. I'm talking about the qualities. Okay, if you have 5 different kind of qualities, put that team in your fourth slide. Pretty important part. Fifth slide should talk about what is the percentage of market you want to grab. Is it 10%, 2%, 3%? Prove it properly. If you have that point pretty clear on your fifth slide, go for the sixth slide talking about what is the amount of money you need to grab that market. That makes sense to any kind of investor. He is watching, okay, fine, this fellow is trying to grab 2% of the market and he is looking for X amount of money. That's perfectly valid. And he is trying to do that from his own pocket. Maybe he is investing 20% of the total fund, 80% he is looking from us. Perfectly fine. And for your knowledge, there are Middle East based fund who are actually ready to invest 50% of your asking money, with the condition that rest of the 50% you have to bring on table. Now, how you want to do it, it's up to you. You can invest from your own pocket. You can get some third-party investor. Doesn't matter. But those access is already there. I can maybe after the session I can share you those information. Not a problem on that. So I'm in fact board of this Middle East based fund. You can connect me if you wish. Should talk about your future growth. So sixth slide, how much percentage? Seventh slide, your future growth. Your future growth can start after 3 years. Don't worry about that. Don't be too fast. Don't think that the investor doesn't understand how much time it takes to generate a market or get a reputation. It usually takes years. I mean, it may take 7 years, it may take 5 years. Don't bother. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Then in your eighth slide, distributing your fund requirement into small values. Example, if you are looking for $1, put it in such a way, in first year maybe you need, say for an example, $50,000. I'm just giving you a rough, right? And maybe in second year you need maybe $0.5 million, so that you can grow faster. Okay, not a formula, it's your business. I shouldn't comment anything generic because it's never generic. It depends on the kind of business that you have, and depends which country you're executing, what kind of consumer base. So The eighth slide would be your target customer. Your target customer meaning it cannot be generic. It must be with age segregation. Say you're saying I don't need age group of 5 to 16 because my products are not for uh, toddlers or the grown up babies or not for the teenagers. My product is basically for people who are above 18. That's perfectly fine. That gives you an edge, a confidence for the investors that he knows the market. So the mantra is, the tip is, wipe out who is not your customer. So eighth slide should talk about who is not your customer rather than who is your customer. You don't need to put that. Just talk about who is not your customer. Ninth slide should be a visualization. What is your growth curve? Don't talk with a lot of numbers. Put it in a very simple chart. You know, maybe a bar chart. It can be a line diagram. Doesn't matter. But put some Excel sheet in the back end so that when you click on that, your Excel sheet should pop up with all those details. And of course, the 10th slide should be a thank you slide. So that's how you can actually make a normal, very basic take. Um, don't go beyond 10. The solo reason is during this pandemic time, people honestly don't have a lot of time to read a large amount of documentation. That will happen eventually if they show some interest. So that goes for your pitch deck. Now, when you talk about business structure, that's your pitch deck, okay? That's not your business plan. Now, when you talk about business structure and your business plan, that structure should talk about how you are strategizing your sales policy. Who is there in your team who is taking care of your all money making process? Who is the person who is taking care of your debts, your loans? How you are going to run the business? Is it running on your own, like your own money, you have kitty, or you are talking about you have got some kind of loan from the bank, you want to repay that, and for that you need some amount of extra money and then grow your business. So please differentiate between both of these and get those things in your hand before you approach any investor who can say that someday they will show you interest and all of a sudden they will ask you, okay, send me your business structure, and you say, okay, hold on, I'll take 1 month of time to make that. So don't do that. So when you have the pitch, your business structure should be with you. In your business structure, you must have, I'm not sure about somebody's business, just giving you a rough example. If you're running an organic farm, you should mention that from these regions I'm getting tomato, I'm getting oranges. Why this region? Because this is cost effective. Why you? Because you can access that. Why you can access that? You have got some network. But how anybody else cannot replicate you? Because you have created that relationship. You have some kind of bond signed. You have some kind of agreement signed with these guys so that they feel some kind of confidence. So all these information, make sure you have ready, handy answer. If it's a technology business, perfectly fine. Do you own an IP? If you have applied for the patent, if you have not applied for the patents, perfectly fine, no issues. Is it patentable? Can we make money with the patent? Do you know how to do that? Put all those things in business structure, not in your pitch deck, please, for God's sake. pitch deck is talking about pitch deck is talking about your own business pitch,
Yeah.
and how you are different. Now, when you have proved that, put those things in your structure and tell them, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
There is a
Why you
question here that is like very crucial. Yeah.
sorry?
There is a
Sorry?
question that's been asked that's very crucial. Yeah. One of the person is asking, how do you get a third party investor?
Uh, I couldn't hear you, Celeste.
I
Can
said,
I?
there's a question here that was asked that I feel you need to answer before you proceed. How do you get a third party investor?
Okay. It's Well, so nowadays, try to learn how to find a proper investor into LinkedIn. Don't try to approach individuals. Easiest way is finding a fund manager for any kind of fund. So like you can find a fund managers in LinkedIn. That's one approach. Second approach, how to find is pretty simple. Go to Google. You have got of Google. Understand the number of funds available. Finding a third party fund is not easy. Let me be very honest with you. It's not very easy. It takes hundreds of pitch to get one investor who is best for you. It's not going to be a very easy task. But yes, if you ask me directly, people like Celestine, people like me, people like others, we have got a good number of network. We know who is who in the industry. We know who is proper investor and what fund works where. Okay, I'll try to make it simple for you. It's a generic question. You asked me that how to find a third party investor. Well, my friend, every fund is not for your business. There are funds who is mainly investing in technology business. There are funds which is social impact fund. There are funds which is mainly into maybe agriculture. There are funds which is into media and entertainment. So if you are approaching some media entertainment fund and your business is from technology domain, the marriage will never happen. It's like finding a best bride or best groom for your kid, right? So when you go for that finding process, you need some middle person who can actually guide you. So we are there. If you are totally new into this market, it takes years of time to understand which fund works where, because every 3 months funds actually change their policy, their structure and their focus. Say you have a angel syndicate. I'll try to make it simple. You have a angel syndicate fund in US. So every 3 months they have a focus area change. So it may happen that now they are looking for fintech startups. After 3 months, maybe they are looking for entertainment startups. You never know. So you are in that third month where they are looking for entertainment and you are actually from fintech. So you will lose time and money. So easiest way is to create those structure digitally, get it ready, get it done, and then try to connect these guys, pitch them, send them the details, talk about your pitch deck, put it in YouTube about your business, make a nice presentation with a business plan. Funds in the market. There are Sequoia, there are Matrix, there are number of funds available in the world. You can always mail them, but there is no guarantee when you are going to get the result and when you are going to see the mail reply that yes they are interested. Until unless you know the person's inside, I'm sorry to give you a straight answer, but that's how the world works. Until unless you create a relationship, it's very difficult, really difficult.
Thank you
It
so
took
much
me at
for
least
that detailed.
16 years to build those kind of relationships.
Thank you so much for that detailed explanation. I had not even thought about it from that angle because I'm mostly an outlier. So it's always my business to know who's doing what and who can I connect who with who. So I always find it very easy to kind of like approach people and talk and really get to know what they're doing. But I'd never looked at it from that angle of you need to develop that relationship, because for me and you who we develop relationships, it kind of like comes very naturally. So if you could
So
finish
Celestine,
probably.
I'll tell you a very simple policy in life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when I know you, when you know me, we know each other for quite a long time. It means my network is your network and your network is my network. That's how all our community leaders, community makers, change makers work. So the easiest answer to the gentleman who has asked, I don't know, I hope that's he. I can't see the name in the
No,
chat box.
it was just anonymous. He was an anonymous attendee.
Okay, anonymous. So anyway, whoever you are, my friend, the easiest answer is you have to know these kind of community leaders and ask them shamelessly, I need help. And frankly speaking, there is no shame of asking that I need help. Just ask for it. Whoever can. Okay, can I share something? Can I share a story to you, Celestine?
Yes, you can share.
Okay, it was most probably 7 years back. I was mentoring MSME meaning micro, small, and medium enterprise in India.
In Kenya, it's SME.
My speech when I was in Dayas, she was like a bit of hesitated that she can't speak in English. She couldn't approach me. So somehow she got my number from the uh, organizers, from the governing body or something like that. She gave me a call late at night, speaking in normal native language, asking for help, if I can mentor her, guide her. She was from a very different village background, can't speak English, don't understand it. Okay. So she said that, can I come to your office? Can I talk to you for maybe a couple of minutes? I just want to waste your 10 minutes, not more than that. So I found there is an arch in that lady's voice. She really wanted to do something in her life. So I said, fine, come, not a problem on that. We can meet. So she came, not very very humble lady, hesitated to sit on a normal cozy chair, that kind of mentality. Okay, and then she started sharing her life that uh, she has got her mom, and both mother and daughter, they run a very small venture of dry flowers, wanted to grow their business. So I asked her that, can you make a dry flower based umbrella for me? Can you make a dry flower based dress for me, which is fashionable enough? She told me, yeah, I can do that, but I am not a English speaking lady, so I don't know how to read and write properly in English. I can only serve you the product. I said, okay, fine, you just do it. Do you need money for this? She said, no, 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 I don't need any money. I'll show you, and then if you like, I'll tell you what to do in the next approach. I said, okay, no problem. She literally took couple of weeks. You understand? They used to make only flowers. She don't have any idea how to create umbrella or how to make a dress, but somehow she learned it, did it with approx 3.5 weeks, came back to me, showed me the dress, and I said, okay, come on, let me connect you with couple of guys in Greece, and let me register your company and do a import export license. Okay, she said, what is import export license? I said, it is needed if you want to sell your products from India to some other country in Europe. So she had no clue. So somehow I sent her to a lawyer, a chartered firm. They took care of everything. I invested initial money so that she can do it. She's from a poor background, of course, couldn't do things properly. Now she has got more than 500 people in her company. So the mother and daughter, they are running a successful venture who makes fashionable dress with dry flowers. You
Wow.
see, there was a market in Europe.
Yeah.
She didn't knew it because she was
Yeah.
not from English speaking background. It doesn't matter. If you have that skill set, what I'm trying to tell you, if you have that skill set inside you, and you have a burning desire, and you are approaching someone who can actually help you rather than only giving you some kind of tips that you make a business plan, you do this, you move that, you know do some kind of Excel sheet, invest a lot of money. Not at all, you don't need that. If you have skill set, right kind of approach, right kind of people, things can happen. I took exit from that company. I'm not anymore associated with them. I just put them the growth fund. I made money. I wiped off. Till date, we are in touch. Till date, she's asking for marketing. Till date, now she is speaking in English. Come on, I'm so happy. I mean, and she is a well-known speaker in the community because of the growth she has got. But these things can happen. These things are happening. Worldwide these things are happening. So never ever feel that if you can't make something, some kind of business plan, you lack some kind of skill set, ask for help. And to be very honest, if you are trying to make a B plan, please don't try to make it for free. Get proper professionals.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will be a shooting, like, without any kind of bullseye. So it's no point of shooting. So get
Okay.
some people who can actually help you.
Okay. So I've got a last question um, for you, and it involves what you have personally learned in your journey of entrepreneurship, including this pandemic. Huh? And the question is split into two in terms of what are you learning at the moment? Because what we've learned with this pandemic is that everybody is upgrading themselves or upskilling themselves. What are you learning at the moment, apart from what you have learned through your entrepreneurship journey, including the pandemic, and what you're learning at the moment?
Super. I'm learning a lot of things, my friend. For an example, I feel myself as a lifetime student. So at the moment, I'm learning a new language. I'm learning Russian at the moment, how to speak. I can speak a little bit, so I'm learning it totally. Number one. Number two, I'm learning how to forget myself, meaning how to forget that what is my name, and what is my designation and my powers. Rather, I'm learning how to become like water. For an example, the meaning is, when you put me in glass, I'll take a shape of glass. When you put me in some maybe big pot, I'll take a shape of that pot. When you put me in a normal pond, I'll mix up with some other waters. So that's what I'm learning. So it's a it's a difficult task, very difficult, easy to say, but very difficult task. Till date, yet I'm learning. And one more interesting part, I'm learning how to grow crops, honestly speaking. So I've got a nice small garden and backyard. So I'm trying to grow some small vegetables over there to optimize anger, to optimize all those stuff in life which gives you a lot of flashy and jersey lifestyle. Uh, I'm not going to tell you any kind of lie. Like, of course, I used to fly in helicopters. I have flashy cars. I can, of course, show off things. But I'm trying to detach myself from all those kind of stuff and trying to become more human, and learning if maybe within next 1 year, if I can help more and more people in whatever way. And of course, I'm learning more on how to do time management. I can do that, but I'm not sure whether I can do it 100%. So I'm trying to do it 100% if I can. That's all. That's all I'm learning at the moment.
That's been quite insightful. I'm sure there's something that I missed out, probably in the business plan, coming to think of it as you were talking, because you had given us just the business plan, the pitch deck, and there was a third element that you're supposed to have talked about when I interrupted you. Maybe you could kind of like sum it up, because we have I think 6 minutes to 3 o'clock, and I'm sure most of the people who've got questions would type them in the in the in the in the in the in the
I
chat
think
if they can.
shamelessly ask for help. Someone is asking. You are most welcome. Asking for help. Always there, of course.
Yeah.
You can ask Celestine for my coordinates, communications.
Mm.
Always there.
I'll
Always.
definitely
Don't get
share his,
angry.
yeah, I'll definitely share
Don't
his
get angry.
details
Yeah.
I'll share my email, and then you can email me, and I'll share his details on email, all his details. Then you can shamelessly ask him for anything. He's quite open to that and very helpful. So I would like you to at least address the last issue that you had talked about in terms of the three things that when you're going to an investor, someone should have. And you had mentioned of a business plan, a pitch deck, and the last one was, um, you
Market
said there are
study.
three.
Yeah, market study and how to get return. I mean,
Okay.
if somebody is investing $100, how
Mm,
much return you're giving?
Mm.
Please understand your return must be higher than any kind of banking solution. You cannot say that with $100 you will get $120 after a year. It cannot happen. So your growth margin, whatever you are confident about, your growth must be 5 times or 10 times. Listen, startup is not about raising fund. Startup is not about getting investment from third party. Startup is all about doing 10x growth. Now to achieve that 10x growth, if you need 5x investment, perfectly fine, but try to give that growth so that the investee and investor both feels confident enough. And to reveal one fact, it's hard fact, if you are talking to a VC, I'm not talking angels, if you're talking to a VC, as a strategy, VC invests in 10 different ventures. They expect 2 ventures to get success. They don't expect that 8 of them will get success.
Mm.
So try to become that 2. Don't try to become that 8. As a strategy, they don't need money back from those 8 ventures. They are good enough if they are earning money from those 2, right? So don't create some kind of business structure which will fail, because eventually you will feel that I have failed. Second is experience. So beforehand, before you say yes and get someone else's money in your company, make sure you're making money, some kind of disruption you are doing in the world, and then you're giving back to the investor itself. Be that disruption. That's it. You don't need anything else.
Thank you so much, Arijit, for taking time impromptu in your busy schedule. I know I've been
My network is maybe bad. I can't hear you properly. Is it
okay.
my network is?
No, okay, sorry. I was just saying thank you so much for these great insights that you've given us today. I know I've been after you for the longest time. I just did commit to a date earlier on, or a time. And I've got a feedback from one of the participants who says, like, you have given some very great insights to them, and they are so impressed with the kind of detailed breakdown that you have given them. And I'm sure that they will definitely reach out after this to just kind of like see how they can talk to you more, and also tap into the knowledge and the networks that you have to kind of like push themselves forward. Because as we say in Startup Grind, it's all about what we have, and that is the relationship. The relationship is more important than anything. It's not the business first. So the relationship to inform each other so that we can have dreams and grow and take ourselves to the next level. That is more crucial than the money or the entrepreneurship aspects. I don't know whether you've got any parting words in terms of your life journey as a techpreneur, knowing that you started this thing very early. I'm sure you look at some scenarios now, especially when people are scared because of this pandemic, and feeling very scared of a future that's very uncertain. I don't know whether you've got last parting words or last parting advice to some of our participants.
Okay, so last part is pretty simple. I mean, just be in the journey. I mean, don't think that there is a staircase. Just start your first step, and eventually you'll be in the top. It doesn't matter. And life is pretty beautiful, you know. COVID or no COVID, it might sound very harsh, but somehow it's a circle of life. Somehow I feel we humans have done uh, lot of bad stuff to Mother Nature, and we are repaying. We are just repaying.
Yeah, I think the
One
world
of the
needed to
oldest
rest.
language.
The
It's
world
one of the
needed to
oldest
rest.
language.
Yeah.
Let me quote you. Let me quote from a very old language called Sanskrit. Most probably world's second oldest language. It's a dead language now. Uh, so there is a sloka called Chakravart Parivartante Dukhani Cha Sukhani Cha. The meaning is the life cycle is a circular way of love, goodness, and in the other side, there is sorrow and death. So both will come eventually, and it will rotate. So it's a circle, and within this circle, you do all the positive stuff in life. If you do 5 positive thing, nature will give you 50 positive back. It alternates just like your startup. So I'll ask and urge all of you to do great and good in life, whatever you feel good. So please remember, what is good for you may not be good for others. Doesn't matter. You do good. You feel that you are doing good. And trust me, trust both of us, you are going to get 10 times goodness in your life back.
Thank you. Thank you yet again. And we are on public holiday here, so I'm very, very grateful to people who have joined. They've really valued your advice and just the words of encouragement and um, motivation that you've given them. Charles, who's one of the attendees, says that thank you for your time and your information, and he's very, very enlightened. While Lillian says, great insight for startups, much appreciated, and looking forward for more forums and conversations like this. Probably you can type your email or your name and email for everyone who's attended, so that they can go with it. The ones who can reach me, well and good, but follow us at Startup Grind on Facebook. It's a closed group. You could request to join, and you're more than welcome. I can see a new message coming in. Okay, it's just great advice. Thank you very much, Arijit. I will now leave you at least to go into your next meeting or your next your next commitment that you have. I am so grateful for you joining me today, and I will definitely write you and now follow you more, knowing that I also need to start practicing some of these words that you have spoken now.
So open a request to you, Celestine. If you need me anytime next week to maybe nurture a one by one business, maybe 4 or 3 of them, very closely. If you want me to check them, give them some session, I'm there for you. I'm there for the community. A love from a person from India, of course, and
Thank you
all
very
the
much.
support that I can do.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. We are grateful. Shukran.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.